mix. DJ Smudge in the mix. DJ Smudge in the mix. DJ Smudge in the mix.
How you feel? Yeah, my tears, yeah, still feel. Oh yeah.
Ooh, all right. Yes. Are we ready? Is this thing on?
Is this thing on?
Are we
Is
live?
this on?
Hold on.
Hello, is it?
Let me pull it a little higher so it's
Are you on?
closer. Is that better? Hello?
Are we on?
Hi.
Are we on?
How's it going?
Hey, hi.
Hi. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Yes.
Hi.
Yes. Yes.
Good evening. Good evening. Good
Touch
evening.
the skin, darling. Touch all of this skin, darling.
Get into all of it. Well,
What's the matter, Pedro? Are you going through some sort of a psychological change in your life? Are you going back to being a man?
welcome.
Good
welcome,
evening,
welcome.
everyone. How's everyone doing today?
We hope you are doing well. Today is Wednesday, September the 12th, And welcome to episode number 32.
32.
Right, 32 of the BGKH show.
What's
You
that
know,
stand for?
Well, so I've been told that it's for the blacks, the gays, the kinky, but most of all, they're all human. So
There we go.
that's where we are.
Shorthanding it.
Yeah, I mean that's where we
B G K.
Yes, for the shorthand.
Yes, there we go. There we go.
All right, that's the shorthand. Keep
Yes.
it
So
going.
if you see us on the street, just put whichever one you are. If you do, then we know.
Like are you black and gay? Okay, I got
Right.
you. I got you. But if you walk up to this, you do like this, then my number is
867-5309.
Hopefully you all have had a great week. I have had a very busy week. It has been crazy. But what about you? How's your week been so far? Or how from last week to this week?
All right. So,
From last episode, I should say.
well, so the slave came to visit on Thursday and Friday, so that was lovely. Yes.
So that would be he would be
Oh yeah.
actually
Lots of that. Lots of that.
Yeah, well,
Lots.
yeah.
Lots.
I mean, I'm not mad at you. Hey, boo boo.
And then another this guy who's a grad student at the University of Maryland.
Oh yeah. You were talking about that before.
Yes.
Is that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
It's interesting. I just want to digress for a second. He's Chinese, but I didn't say that because I don't think that that's critical to the narrative, and I want to just talk for 45 seconds about
Go.
racism and white supremacy.
Okay.
Because I've noticed it, and because I read a lot of audiobooks, and like the one I'm reading now is typical. I bet the author doesn't think of himself as racist, but when he describes characters, like most people, when they describe characters, they will just say, Epic came into the room. But if the person, so the default assumption is that person is white. But if the person is not white, they always say he's Asian or he's black. They don't describe most people in the book, or the descriptions of those characters typically tend to be more rich. Like they'll talk about their blonde hair, their blue eyes, or how he had flecks or whatever, or freckles or whatever. But then the black character will always just be the black guy.
I was just focusing on the gray hair, but that's okay.
Yes, that too.
Yeah.
So that's just my thing. Anyway, so I had a wonderful time with the slave. Then we went to the
I was
grad
like, what
student.
did that relate with I was like, that's
the grad student,
Okay,
because he's
gotcha.
Chinese.
Okay.
Then we went to see Kathy Griffin.
Yes.
That was a great show. It was also kind of shocking to me, the things that she has gone through this last year. Because when she first went on her little apology tour, I was like, why are you apologizing? Because you're just feeding right into it. But I understand why she did, especially
to a certain
in light of
extent,
this,
yeah.
what she had to do, because basically she went from on Monday. Let's say the photo was released on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
On Monday, when she released that photo, she had a 40-city tour.
Yep.
On Tuesday, she had nothing.
Right.
All of the venues backed out in 24 hours because people were calling and threatening to blow up the fucking venue, not because they necessarily had anything pro or against, and she said she didn't hold it against them because, listen, if you're the venue, we saw her at Constitution Hall.
Right.
And, Constitution Hall, because of its proximity to the White House, may be more used to that. But, some casino or
They're like, oh, no,
some
you're not gonna blow the
spot
house up.
in
Oh,
the
no.
middle of Iowa or whatever, if someone calls, and not just one person, but if a bunch of people call and say, if you have Kathy Griffin here, we're going to blow this bitch up, they're not going to deal with that.
They're gonna be like, thank you, Kathy, but we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Right. And then,
And you can't blame them.
So
To a certain
she
extent.
talked about the death threats that she got and how they were in 3 categories: the ones that were like really, really, really serious and required an immediate response by the FBI, the ones that were sort of semi-serious and, you know, sort of merited more investigation, and then the ones that were just comedy.
Foolishness.
And she read a couple that were just comedy, and it was just so funny because she was talking about, do you know that she said at least a third of the death threats had a return address on them.
That was hilarious.
Dear Kathy, I am going to kill you. Sincerely, Dominion Onyx, 5033 23rd Place, Chicago, Illinois, 20203. I'm just like,
You're like, so let's just send a car right on over there to his house, and
we'll just get him.
We'll just go
right-
pick him
right
up
then.
because that'll be one less person off the street. So we're gonna just do that.
But
right
speaking
now.
of death threats, you know, the really fucked up part about it was, you know, if you've ever watched Life on the D List or have ever watched Kathy, you know,
who I absolutely love, or that show, because
Her,
her parents were hilarious.
right, you know, her father's already passed away, but her mother's still alive. She's like 98 years old. And she's at a senior citizen center.
Right.
She's not ill or anything. She's just elderly, and, you know, she
Right.
can't hang around Kathy's big ass house, you know, with stairs and stuff. So she's in a really nice retirement home. Well, some of these assholes found out where her 98-year-old mother lives and started sending death threats to the senior citizen center.
Right. On top of that,
On top of that,
they also started sending death threats to her sister, who at the time was going through cancer.
Dying of
and
cancer.
yeah, and more specifically, she was on her deathbed, and they were
Yes.
still sending her death threats.
so if you saw Kathy shaving her head, she was saving it in solidarity with her sister who was going through radiation treatments, and it was making her hair fall out. And she ultimately died, and up until the day she died, she received death
Death
threats
threats.
from these assholes.
Pieces of shit.
Yeah.
That was my thought then. That is my thought now.
Yeah.
Pieces of shit.
And, you know, she made light of everything in the show, but that was the only time she actually cried.
She got very emotional, and you know, it's kind of like somebody saying honor amongst thieves.
Yeah.
It's just something you just don't do. Like
Right.
I don't know. I mean, as a human, you just don't do.
Right.
But whatever.
And then
That email was very interesting, though.
the email, I'll get to the email in a second, but ultimately she did have to go and but give a statement before the FBI and the Secret Service. Well, first of all, she was put on the no-fly list for 2 months, which is ridiculous. And she says even sometimes to this day, you know, she still has to go and, you know, sit in the room and, like, you know, they got to do further investigation. Because, yes, Kathy, by her own description, you know, is 5'3" and 102 pounds. Yes, she's going to assassinate the president. And through her lawyer, she was informed that they were considering charges including treason and conspiracy to assassinate the president because she had a balloon or a mask
It was a mask that she said she bought off Amazon
With
for
ketchup.
like $14 or something like that.
with ketchup on it. And the lengths that this government went through to ruin her life is just, you know, frightening.
Yeah.
And, you know, so when people, you know, if you want to tie this back to things like Black Lives Matter and, you know, people feeling in fear of their lives, I mean, if you could do this to this rich white woman, you know,
What
and
makes
basically
you-
ruin
yeah.
her life, and she actually could afford the same lawyer who fought United States versus Larry, what's the owner of
Larry
Hustler's
Flint?
name?
Larry Flint, I
Larry
think it was,
Flint.
yeah.
Her lawyer, she was able to afford the same lawyer that successfully defended Larry Flint. So, you know, you think of, you know, someone who has no money or no access, and even if they knew that ultimately they weren't going to charge her with anything, think of all of the hundreds of thousands of dollars that she put out or had to deal with. And if something like that had happened to one of us, we would just be completely out of gas.
Yeah, out of gas, all the way.
All the way.
All the way.
And you know, the number of people that were coming for her, she even got a letter from one of the board members of CBS saying that, the only way that she could do this was basically to throw herself on Trump's mercy because he's known to be merciful and forgiving and all of this shit. And she was like, fuck that, I'm not doing that.
And the letter was so perfectly crafted.
Yeah.
And it was so perfectly
basically,
scripted.
it was
and they were basically telling her...
He was telling her to copy and paste this, and sign it, and send it.
And that's all it was. And it was like,
and
what?
That she was supposed to release it only to Fox News.
Right.
And not any other station. So this is all complete bullshit. Then she came for, we forget, Janet Jackson and Les Moonves. So, because Les tried to come for her, Les Moonves, who is now the former chairman of CBS.
Yeah, he was a co-chairman of CBS.
Right. He was also trying to ruin her and get her taken off of a number of networks and, everything like that. But that's not the first time he did that because, later on we're going to talk about how he tried to ruin Janet Jackson's career. So,
yeah, well, that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
But all in all, your week was good, though?
Until today.
So,
on Saturday, my uncle, anytime the story that starts with my uncle is always foolishness. So I'm going to keep it short because I just don't have the time for that level of emotion.
Okay.
He called to let me know that my father had fallen. And then, of course, the first dumbass question and that he couldn't get up. It was literally the reason why we have the life alert. I've fallen and I can't get up. But, of course, they got this old fucked up ass phone thing. But somehow they managed to get the ambulance there. And they were like, well, should we take him to the hospital? And I'm like, he can't get up.
Absolutely.
So, fuck. So he's in the hospital. And, whenever he's in the hospital, I'm always relieved because I know for once he's going to
take his medication,
be under care or whatever. But unfortunately, I think this might be the beginning of the end. Because today, while I was at work, they called my sister to say that his kidneys don't appear to be working at all. And because he has taken such poor care of himself, you have to have a certain level of strength for dialysis, which he doesn't have. So I don't know what to do. Well, I know there's two choices: dialysis or not dialysis. One is going to extend his life for maybe a couple of months. Without dialysis, it's a matter of days, weeks, or months at the most. And I am, my sister's like, well, did we do anything wrong? And we both are like, no, we didn't do anything wrong. We did the best thing we could. And I'm trying not to lash out at my uncle, but I'm just like, that's it.
All right.
So
okay.
I'm just gonna
let's come
leave
out
it
of
at
that.
all that because we could, I could spend the next hour talking about all of the things. Like when the social worker called, at some point she was like, okay, I have to go now. Because she was asking me what was wrong. And I started giving her like the whole thing. And she completely understood and everything. But she was like, okay, I've got the information that I need. So I have to go now.
Your counseling session has ended.
Exactly. Basically, she was like, I am not a free therapist, honey.
Your counseling session
right,
has ended.
So it was that. And I don't want to keep talking about it
Well, let's
like that. So
let's not talk
there
about
we
that.
go. So what's going on with you?
So 'tis the season for all types of family
Foolishness.
family drama and foolishness. Some of which is of my own doing, but yeah. Long week. Work has been really crazy. So Florence, that's been coming in, has been affecting my job in the sense that I have to plan a couple events, and I have to plan an event in the area where it's going to be.
Oh, that's right. Y'all gonna be in Virginia Beach,
exactly.
right? Ugh, this is awkward.
Right. So I have these federal government employees, 125 of them, that are asking me questions about when are you going to cancel and what's going to be this and what are we going to do and what's the contingency plan and what's this and the other. And so for me, I'm sitting back trying to realize that we don't know where this thing is going to hit. We know where it's projected to hit. It can be between this and this time, we don't know where it's going to hit. And from compared to Monday up until today, which is Wednesday, it's completely shifted. And so now it's further south from Virginia. Now, we already know that with hurricanes and weather, it's always unpredictable, so it can change again. So we've made a decision on what we're going to do. But it's the 85,000 questions that people have that are like, you know, that become annoying and draining, because when you sit back and you say, this is what it is, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it, and this is when we're going to do it. That is the long and short of it. That's it. All these extra questions, it doesn't fit within these 4 things here, because it's not necessary at this particular point in time. And so even though we have a plan, we have to allow for, again, a contingency, because again, it's weather, it can change.
Right.
And so we've already made a decision on what's going to happen. But then there's if something changes at the last minute and things go awry, then we will do X amount of things. So we're waiting until Friday to make this decision on what it actually will be. But I'm already moving towards the decision that we've made, because we've already made that decision.
Right.
So it's
and
just,
they're all on TDY. It's not like
Yeah.
any of the money for their travel or anything is coming out of their pocket.
you would think
Let
that
me tell
these
you, what
people-
these girls want, they want a week away from work, and now they're like, well, shit, if this gets canceled, I gotta go to work, and men and women, it's like, oh damn.
And then on
I
top of
was
that-
inviting my boo.
Listen.
She married. I'm
But she
inviting my
invited the
boo to come down.
Listen.
To stay in this hotel room with
and
me.
I have seen several things that could resemble something like that. But it
Right.
is, as you
Like,
would
I
say,
thought you was married.
Right.
I thought your husband, but that don't look like your husband.
to quote Dominion, it is none of my affair. So I look at them and I just say, okay, well, whatever.
As long as you do your
yeah,
homework,
like,
I don't care what
do
you
what
do
you need to
after
do for this
hours.
program, and that's all I need you to do, and that's it.
His ass better not. Listen, your husband better not show up in class trying to cut up.
Right, be on time, don't miss no days, and if you do miss something, I need to have something for your supervisor, and that's all it is. We're not going through that. We're gonna keep it
Right.
like I don't want to do all that.
Let's keep it cute.
Yeah. So, but other than that, it was cool. Talk about the family situation. Like I said, some things are my doing, but I'm not going to go into that right now. But I'm stressing out over some nonsense. But it'll come to a head at some particular point. So, but I am learning that at the ripe old age of 47, that stress affects everyone differently.
Yes.
And I am living that, and I'm annoyed at the process, because I am like itching all over the place, just itching. But anyway, enough of that, and on to some fun stuff for the week, or some happenings for the week that are non-emotional.
Yes.
So
Well, let's start with American Horror Story.
listen, okay, tonight is the night. American Horror Story comes on.
I didn't record it because it comes on like 100 times.
It comes on at 10 o'clock, but I'm recording it, and it'll probably come back on at 11 o'clock. But listen,
I'm sure I'll record it when I get home because I'm not staying up for
and
it.
I'm doing I'm in a household where we cut the cable, so this is kind of interesting how this is going to work out, because I had to set the record on the FX and all that type of stuff.
All right.
So I'm gonna see how this is going to work out. So it's going to be the first thing I watch afterwards. But here's my thing. I'm so excited about American Horror Story, and I found this article that kind of summed it up. American Horror Story, this season 8, is kind of like Infinity Wars for Ryan Murphy. So for any of you that don't understand why it is such a big deal, the show is absolutely just god awful, unbelievable, and fabulous all at the same
all of
time.
the cool black people die at the end?
Not quite.
Well, that's what happened in Infinity War.
Not quite. Well, they didn't necessarily die per se. They were kind of, there's another backstory with that. But
All right.
in any event, so listen. So I found this article that was talking about American Horror Story, and it was there are 8 seasons of American Horror Story. And so if you've never seen any of the 8 seasons and you try to tune in tonight, you're not going to be completely lost. But here's a couple things you might want to remember, or you might want to think about with this particular season. They do share a common myth, and Apocalypse is being billed as the long-awaited merging of the show's premiere season, later named Murder House, and it's Heather's with Witches season 3, which is Coven. So while some seasons may have referenced others, Murder House has foreshadowed Roanoke. For example, this one should have far more connective tissue than most, because Roanoke, when you watch that, it didn't really have a lot of connective tissue. And so some of my American Horror Story fans, you're following this stuff.
I had heard there wasn't Lady Gaga in Roanoke, and that she was the original Supreme.
Right, Lady Gaga.
I've never seen the Coven season, but I understand the concept.
Lady Gaga's character, which
Right.
was the witch in the woods, was actually supposed to be the original Supreme. So she was apparently the original Supreme, and so that's one connective piece of tissue from season 6
Yeah.
to season 8. Another thing, talking about seasons, how they connect. If you've never watched the first season, it was called Murder House, and so there are two characters, Ben and Vivian Harmon, who come back, and they were the family who initially moved into the murder house in Los Angeles in season 1, and they had a daughter, Taissa Farmiga, Violet, she is actually one of the actress that plays her is one of the Coven characters from season 3. So it's kind of there's a weird connection there also. Sarah Paulson actually, who wound up being the Supreme and one of the other character, in the Coven season, is actually coming back. She's playing several other characters as well, because most of the characters in the American Horror Story franchise are the same actors and actresses that come back, but they play different characters. She's actually going to be playing multiple characters from multiple seasons coming back.
Is she going to play the twins?
It's not quite clear who she's going to play, but she's definitely But she's definitely going to play one of the. She's going to play the Supreme, which she ended at that particular season.
And Myrtle is coming back.
Balenciaga. Okay, if any of you've never watched Coven,
you've
seen Myrtle. Myrtle Snow is this. She was the baddest, oldest witch in the daggone Coven. She is this very pale white woman with this red hair who, who, when they burned her at the stake and she came back, she was like, oh my God, someone said to her, oh my God, you look great, your hair grew back. She said, child, I bought this hair in bulks, in bulk so long ago. So, listen, but Myrtle was the high priestess of fashion. Myrtle was just everything. So she was hilarious too. But she's coming back as well.
I did find out, if you want to catch up on it, if you have Amazon Prime,
yes,
the previous seasons are on Amazon Prime. So that might be it's
a lot to watch to check
but
out all the seasons.
I don't know that I'm gonna watch them all.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to watch the first season and then probably Coven.
So if I had to rank the seasons and tell you which ones to actually watch, I would say watch season 1.
Yeah.
Watch season 2. Watch season 3.
And then season 4, and then season 5, and 6, and then 7.
4, 5, and 6, not so much. But
Freak Show was the first season that I watched, and I actually liked Freak Show.
Freak Show actually was season 6.
No, Freak Show was the one where they were the freaks in a tent.
Was that 4?
That was 4. If Coven was 3,
Coven
then
was
Freak
3,
Show was 4.
So I would say you can watch seasons 1 through 3. You can skim through 4 because there's a couple characters in season 4, but then you can 6. There's some pieces in it. 7 you can just skip altogether.
The Hotel.
No, 7 was Cult.
Which one was the Hotel?
Hotel was season
6.
6, I believe.
Okay.
Oh, and you should check out season 6 as well. You can skim through that because there's some interesting things that happen. One of the because that also shows another connective piece between all the shows because. One of the witches from season 3, who is played by Gabourey Sidibe, Queenie, her character actually dies in the hotel. And then there's some rules that for all of Ryan Murphy's things that wherever you die, you stay and you haunt that particular house, unless there's some weirdness that comes along, like the witches or the coven, that can actually cast a spell and do something else, which is kind of one of the things to watch out for within this season 8. Season 8 that's starting tonight.
Okay.
Is there a basis or is there a plot for season 8? It is, but it's still kind of unclear. But here's a couple things. The premise is based on some event happening, and there was some sort of mushroom cloud type event, like some sort of explosion or something, and the world is in disarray. And Sarah Paulson's character, one of the Supreme Witches, is actually involved in this other character who she played in another season, involved in being, I'm sorry, she's not involved. She's also taken into this bunker that this woman made up to try to repopulate the world after this explosion or after this event that has happened. Quotable notables for this particular season, Joan Collins is actually supposed to be in this season as well. Oh. And from what I've seen from the trailer, she's somewhere on a plane when this explosion happens.
Oh.
This season has to do with one of the kids that was born in the first season. Because there were 2 that were born and one died, but then the other one that lived is actually supposedly the Antichrist in some way, shape, or form.
Oh, my.
And so, like, there's a lot going on. But in any event, season 8 is going to be everything, and I definitely will say, yeah, I definitely say take a look at American Horror Story. And if you're lost for some reason, tap that friend or tap that next door neighbor who is a American Horror Story fan, so they can explain to you what's going on. But you won't be lost. You just may not see the connections at first, but there's a lot going on. But this season is actually supposed to be one of the most connected seasons to connect those seasons together. So I definitely say to watch it. And what seasons have you watched again? You said just
Freak Show.
Freak Show. Watch the first one.
Okay.
And definitely watch the second. The second one was actually kind of scary. It's kind of like mentally, like it was asylum, and it was kind of rough. But anyway,
all right then.
It was kind of rough, but it was good though. I'm sure you all have heard that Miss Serena Williams was she actually lost a match to Naomi Osaka, and so the reason she lost this match had to do with several factors.
Racism.
One of them was including the referee. One of them is Serena's own playing. I'm just going to put that out there just to be objective. And sexism is actually another factor in this. So when Naomi Osaka beat Williams on Saturday in the Grand Slam Showdown, the line judge, Ramos, first gave Williams a code violation for a code violation warning for coaching after he ruled that her coach, Patrick, I can't even pronounce his last name, but I'm going to say Mouratoglou, gave her hand signals from the stand. And so Serena was like, coaching? Like, what? What are you talking about? Give me hand signals from the stand. Like, this is some bullshit. Then she got a point penalty for smashing her racket, followed by a game penalty for verbal abuse after she confronted the umpire, and where she told him, "You stole a point from me, and you're a thief." That was kind of the nail in the coffin, unfortunately. And
well, listen. So I'm
just saying for the match, for the match, because at that point he awarded the game to Naomi Osaka. Now the problem is you have these two athletes that are playing. Naomi Osaka, who's looked up to Serena Williams, and the first time she saw her was when she was like 5 or something, playing. And I think she actually went to a match and she saw her playing or something. This was her time to be in the Open, and for her to actually play her idol or someone that she's looked up to for God knows how long. The sportsmanship was taken out of it, so we don't necessarily know how it would have played out just based on their own talents. And then we also don't know how it would have played out because Serena is making claims that some of the things that happen on the court would not have happened to any other player, especially if they were male. So that's where the sexism piece comes in at. But you were going to say something.
I was going to say all of that.
Yeah, I mean, so a couple of things.
Well, what do you think about that charge?
So I agree with it.
Charges.
I agree with there was a bit of everything. And so here's some things that I'm going to point out with this. She had, when she talks about sexism, there was a couple of different events that happened. French tennis player, I think it's called Alice. I think you pronounce her name Alizé, but I'm going to say Elise.
It's probably Elise.
Okay, Elise.
Alizé.
Cornet. She received the code.
Alizé Cornet.
She received the code violation for a few weeks ago, according to a CNN article, for briefly taking off her shirt on the court. Now, there was a 10-minute break from the blistering heat in Flushing Meadows, and Cornet rushed off court to change her shirt. When she returned, she realized she was wearing her shirt the wrong way, and she fixed her top. They gave her a fine for that. Then there was another male players that have changed their shirts many times on court without a problem. And on Tuesday, John Isner changed his shirt 11 times throughout his 3+ hour match against Juan Martin Del Potro. And a day later, Wimbledon champion Novak Djokovic sat shirtless for several minutes while his opponent, John Millman.
Is there a video of that?
Oh, God. John Millman of Australia stepped away to change his shirt during a quarterfinals match. Neither of them were penalized. And lastly, the officials introduced this dress code after Serena's catsuit at the French Open, I think it was.
Yes.
So the French Tennis Federation's president, Bernard Giudicelli?
Yeah.
Giudici. Giudicelli. Thank you so much. announced late last month that he'll be introducing a new dress code that would ban tennis players from wearing such form-fitting clothes at the tennis tournament. He said one must respect the game and the place. This was after Serena wore that infamous black catsuit, which Nike designed, and it was actually to help her with the blood clots and the circulation, which are some complications that she had during the pregnancy and I think after the pregnancy. These are some things that have been happening. So yeah, there's some sexism that's going on if you just look at these couple different things, but there's several other things that have happened. And you know, I'm all for Serena calling it out, but unfortunately, she's being portrayed as the angry black woman for the way she calls it out. There have been several caricatures that have been made, and shout out to J.K. Rowling, who called out the Australian paper that printed this ad. Right. And saying that you've reduced this woman down to a caricature and a very bad caricature of herself, not even based on her sportsmanship or her her abilities. So shout out to, and if you had a chance to see the caricature, it is everything stereotypical about black women in general.
And here's the thing, there were a couple of things in addition. Naomi Osaka's parents, her father is Haitian.
Yes.
And her mother is Japanese. So prior to, and someone looked, compared her Wikipedia page.
Yes.
Prior to the match, her Wikipedia described her as Haitian Japanese.
Right. And now
it says that she is the first Japanese player to win a Grand Slam. So it's the de-blackening.
Yeah, because she's about our complexion.
Yeah, so okay, I mean, not that there can't be black Japanese, but I'm just saying. So, we've talked before about how many times Serena has been drug tested, and before someone pointed out to her, because it's not something that they talk about. I mean, it's like the way most people don't talk about their salaries.
Right.
I mean, everybody knows their salaries, but they just don't talk about their drug test. She just assumed that everybody got drug tested, and she was pissed off to discover that most people may get drug tested once or twice, but she gets drug tested
like 5 or 6
all the time. Mm-hmm. Like her rate of drug testing is like 3 or 4 times what everyone else does. And why is this? I mean, it can't just be because she's at the top of her game, because they didn't drug test John McEnroe. They didn't.
Popping right here.
They didn't drug test Martina Navratilova. They didn't drug test Billie Jean King. But they drug test this black woman because she can't just be gifted. She has to be cheating somehow. When ironically, the one that did cheat, fucking Lance, the cyclist, who was America's darling until they found out that he was
not Lance
cheating.
Gross.
Right? They used to be like, damn, how could this dude come from behind and win all of these Tour de France's? Come to find out, he was doped up every fucking time.
Oh my God, I can't
But
think
of
of
course,
his
the
name.
black woman is the one who does it, and there's nothing inappropriate about her catsuit. Just because her body is better than your body, is that her fault?
Yeah.
I mean, and it's all foolishness.
It's a lot, and
I'm not even really into tennis, so I don't care about the sport per se.
Yeah.
But I care about the way that they are treating this black woman, because because they're making it. What did he say? One must respect the game and the place.
Right.
Like she hasn't.
Right. Now
that's implying that she hasn't respected the game and the place.
Right.
She respected it so much that she's
she
ready
spanked
to tie
that ass.
the record for championships.
Yeah, which she won't right now because again, this match she lost, and so,
no shade to Naomi.
No,
and
I'm not.
She actually hugged this woman.
Yeah, she did.
And she was very gracious.
But with that respect to the game comment, Wimbledon has an actual ruling where you need to wear all white. This particular, that French Open has no, like, what the hell? Like, and even when they said all white, you can do whatever you want. It's just all white. That's the color. Like, that's what they're saying. Right. So this man and this ban on her catsuit and respecting the game, I call horseshit. But listen, I am not the president of the French Tennis Federation, but you should be looking at yourself very closely and the actions that you've made or the actions that you've done, Mr. Giudicelli. And I just jacked his name up again. But
that guy.
Yeah, him. Her. Him. Her.
They.
He. It. They. But anyway.
So, yeah.
for all my
That's
travel,
nasty.
for all of my travelers, and I thought about you when I saw this article. CBS News reports that airport security trays carry more germs than toilets. Can you imagine that? So you are getting yourself together and you are getting ready to take this old fabulous trip that you've just been dying to take because you want to get away, you're going to relax, you got your bags all packed, you're taking your one carry-on, you get in line, you wait through TSA, you take your shoes off, you put them in the tray after you grab it, and guess what? You've just put your hand into a cesspool of germs.
Right.
They found the highest frequency of respiratory viruses on plastic trays used in security check areas for depositing hand-carried luggage and personal items. They said these boxes typically cycle with high frequency to subsequent passengers and are typically seized with a wide palm surface area and strong grip. Additionally, they say the plastic trays are made of non-porous materials, allowing viruses to live longer. So keep that in mind as well. They say that the notes, however, in the airport, they say that cold and flu viruses are most widely spread just through the air. So basically, when someone has a virus, they breathe it out, and you're within like 3 feet away, you're susceptible to that particular virus, and that's how these viruses are actually spread.
Right.
But researchers say that the risk of spreading illness in the airport can be improved by offering hand sanitizer to passengers before and after security checks. And then lastly, they say that the CDC recommends that scrubbing your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds or the equivalent of humming Happy Birthday song from beginning to end twice is recommended for kind of disinfecting, well, not necessarily disinfecting, but decreasing your chances of picking up germs and passing them on. So keep that in mind next time you go through the airport. I just found that interesting.
Yeah. That's disgusting.
It is kind of disgusting.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that have been happening in the news recently. So first of all, if you haven't heard of Botham Jean or Jean, it's probably Botham Jean. I haven't watched the news because ever since y'all president was elected, I just don't really watch the news anymore because I'm just disillusioned.
He means you.
Y'all president, I'm not president.
He means you.
Anyway, Botham Jean was a young black man chilling in his own fucking apartment when this off-duty cop mistook it for her own apartment and shot him. Now, she's given all of this foolishness, all of this rah-rah. So they live on different floors. And like most people, you usually park on the floor that you live on.
Mm-hmm.
So he lives above her, I think, or lived above her. So instead of parking on the third floor like she normally does, she drove to the fifth floor because she was tired after a 15-hour shift. And she, first she said her key wouldn't work. Then she said, oh, the door was ajar, to which her attorney calls bullshit because the building where they live has automatic doors, so there's no leaving the door ajar. And he said the only way that he could do it, and he's only making this supposition for the purposes of this ridiculous story, is if he was waiting for someone and would have left the door ajar. But even then, why would you leave the door ajar? Just had the bitch call you and come. I mean, this is unnecessary. So then she says she issued a command and he didn't respond, so he shot her. And I'm like, one, you were off duty. Two, some random bitch coming into your apartment, you are under no duty to respond to their
anybody.
fucking command.
You done walked into my
like
place.
if I walked into your house and be like, put your hands up, I'd be like,
Who the fuck are you?
right. So there is no duty to respond. She was not operating in an official capacity in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And then because she's a cop, like a normal person, if they had shot someone, there was no way that she would only have a $300,000. She admitted that she shot the dude. There's no way that she would be out on a $300,000 bail. Well, of which, because it's bail, you only got to put down 10%.
So that's $3,000.
So she put down $30,000.
Sorry.
Math.
Listen,
Math.
bad day,
Math.
long day.
I
Long
get
day.
it. I get it. It's okay. Math is hard. No problem. But so that's bullshit. And then she was only charged with manslaughter. That's not manslaughter. I don't even know the technical standards, but manslaughter
think-
is like when you didn't mean to do it.
Yeah, I think that's what manslaughter is. But I think murder is straight
Right.
up. Yeah.
Manslaughter is like some shit accidentally happened. Some, one thing led to another, and your gun accidentally discharged. Like,
Right.
he was reaching for the gun, and it accidentally discharged, and they can't let you get off. No, she shot she, for no good reason, shot someone. So that's murder.
Listen.
I don't even know what else to say. And then, of course, this whole bullshit about, I was tired after a 15-hour shift. I don't give a fuck. There are people that work 24 hours straight who just don't wander into a different random apartment. And she said the room was dark. So if you thought that was your house, why wouldn't you turn on the light? First, yes, I have come home and I have heard a noise. The first thing I do is flip on a switch to see whether it was one of my roommates or if I needed to grab the nearest thing to beat somebody's ass.
right.
I don't automatically start swinging at shit in a darkened room because I might accidentally hit one of my roommates who either had headphones on and didn't hear me or something. That just, none of this makes any sense. And, I don't even have confidence that she's going to do any time on this second-degree murder thing.
Well, yeah. So for me, that's what this boils down to. Like, all these things have happened, and then at the end of it, it's like you say you're sorry, you throw yourself in the mercy of the court, but then you get no time, and there's no penalty whatsoever. It's just been a bad nightmare. It's just something you want to put behind you, and you go on.
Right.
And that's unfair. That's unfair to the family. That's unfair to the person. That's unfair to the person's family. That's unfair to just in general across the board. And it makes you question, this whole thing of justice.
Right.
What? Equality? What? Not so much.
Right.
Not so much.
Yeah. So so that's that. Let's see. Viola Davis. So Viola Davis.
Hi, Viola.
Hey, girl.
Hey.
She said that she regrets doing The Help. Now, here's why. She doesn't regret the people that she worked with because she said she made some really amazing lifelong friends from the movie. She doesn't regret the director. She just regrets that the story is supposed to be about The Help, but it was not about The Help. It was about the white people. So it was another white savior movie, because she said the woman, I can't remember, I've never actually seen The Help for among those reasons, because I was like, I don't want to see a movie about it.
So I got to tell you, it is very entertaining. And I feel like you will get a nice kiki off of
I know the part with the shit in the pie and all of that.
But you just need to watch it and experience it. So yeah.
But she's is just regretting that the story was not about this young white woman's experience. That it should have been about the personal stories of these women working for these insane white women and trying to raise their families and doing all of this other stuff. So she regrets that part. So, and I can get that. Sometimes you take the work when you can get it, and and now she's in a position where she knows a little bit more and is in a position,
Miss Hilly, Minnie, and Skeeter.
right, where she knows more and she can.
What's up, Donnie?
She can, make better choices, because she's more powerful now.
Well, yeah.
So, let's deal with this. So down in Tallahassee at my alma mater, these four brothers were going to an apartment complex called the Stadium Complex. I don't know where that is.
There must be something new, or at least rebranded.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, but I can't recall. I haven't been to Tallahassee and
rebranded probably.
It could be.
Yeah.
So anyway, they were going up to see a friend who had just moved in and was having a little get together, a little set, as the kids like to call it, a little soiree, a little,
get together, a little Tay-to-tay.
little tay-to-tay, you know, a little toe-to-toe, a little kiki.
Mm-hmm.
So they are standing there, and this white guy comes up, and he was like, "You can't get in my building if you don't have a key." So he's ranting and raving and not wanting to let these kids in. Some other white guy comes down and is like, "The fuck? I mean, they're here to see somebody."
Right.
So he lets them into the lobby, but then the dude has gone upstairs and comes back down. Now, you know, they're filming, you know, one of the FAMU students is filming all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy comes back down and has a gun and is threatening these dudes with a gun. And eventually the guy who lives there comes down. But even then, there's nothing to say that the dude... Now, the dude that was saying all of this...
Doesn't even live in the building.
Right. The property manager was like, he don't even live here.
Yeah. Doesn't even live in the building.
So...
Privilege, white privilege.
White privilege.
Entitlement.
Yes.
Privilege. Yeah.
Bullshit. So, Botham Jean, Viola Davis, FAMU students. Did you have any thoughts on that?
I'm glad that in 2018 we are able to catch this stuff on video, on camera, in real time. I remember my own experiences that I've had with people and racism in certain cities and places as a teenager, as a college student, as a high school kid, and I'm just glad that people are able to catch this on video, and that's just because this could have ended so badly.
Yeah, you know, my advice to anyone is anytime somebody saw that and crazy, start filming it.
Yeah.
Sometimes, unfortunately, that film will be the only thing that can you know,
justify or save possibly
either save you or catch your murderer.
Right.
I hate to be morbid.
That's true.
But you know,
listen, so for me, I'm thinking of in particular, and I've had this happen to me twice. I've been held at gunpoint twice in my life.
Trade.
Mm-mm.
I'm sorry, that was wrong.
Mm-mm.
That was wrong with me. That was terrible of me to say. I take it back.
No. But the thing is, both times I was with friends, and we understood what was going on. In fact, I was so pissed off the second time that it happened that I wasn't really paying attention, and my best friend was like, "He has a gun," and I was like, "This mother," and I was like, "Oh, okay." Like I was a little
real calm.
I was a little bit like I was.
You was buck.
Yeah, I was.
You was buck
because I was annoyed. Like,
right.
What the fuck? So, and I mean, both of those times it could have went very wrong. One time it was somebody driving by in a car in the parking lot up at Cheltenham Mall in Philadelphia, and just out of nowhere it was just like this whole like Boys in the Hood scene, and I was just like, it's just, I don't know. I don't know.
So today, several sources were reporting that the DC universe is considering. So first of all, Henry Cavill, my second favorite Superman, next to Christopher Reeves, because we're not even going to talk about Brandon Routh. That was terrible. It's terrible. I mean, he wasn't bad to look at, but he was terrible. That was a terrible movie. Everything about it was awful. So Henry Cavill is my second favorite Superman because no one is better
Christopher
than
Reeve was everything.
Henry Cavill certainly has a better body than Christopher Reeve ever had. Christopher Reeve had a good 70s body.
Well, yeah.
He had a good dad bod.
Yeah.
He had that old school, the black and white Superman bod. And it was just like, you're a little fat, but we're going to leave that alone because it's the 50s and then the 70s. So Henry Cavill may have the best body, but I still, I already told you my story about how I didn't see the first 20 minutes of Superman until I was like 14 years old and how pissed off I was about that. Because, I mean, I still get into art. I don't get into it because we're not together, but my ex, we used to have this argument of Batman versus Superman I was just like, can Batman fly? If you can't fly, then you're not a superhero as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I have evolved in that position a little bit. But if you don't have no powers or nothing that makes you special, having money and gadgets to me doesn't make you special. And then I guess you could say Iron Man.
Iron Man is in that same.
But
yeah.
he can fly in a suit though.
Well, and
And
Batman can fly in a suit now.
Now.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm not taking
really
a side
good.
either way.
Right,
So
yeah, I don't
mean,
really care ultimately.
But
anyway,
I also I think Iron Man would fuck Batman up though.
ultimately, yeah.
Yeah, I think Iron
Ultimately,
Man would just fuck Batman.
Because, you know, Batman isn't insane. Like, Tony Stark is insane.
Yeah, Tony Stark is just
Yeah. So, today, there was reports that among the many actors... Oh, so Henry Cavill is out because they couldn't come to agreements or blah, blah, blah. Oh, they're also... Not so much that they couldn't come to an agreement, but they're focusing efforts on a Supergirl movie. And
Which could be interesting.
Supergirl, you know, if you know that mythology, Argo City was captured much earlier, and Supergirl, when Supergirl was a teenager, Kal-El was still an infant. So there's no real place in that movie for him right now. And plus he's doing a bunch of other things and blah, 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 so on and so forth. So when they do pick Superman back up, they're looking at, one of the many people that they're looking at is Michael B. Jordan as the next Superman. Now, that may have just been idle speculation or whatever, but the interwebs have complex feelings, and a lot of black people.
I think I do have some
very
complex feelings about
it.
I don't know. I don't know. So I kind of even felt like when they did the Fantastic Four again and had him as
The Flash.
Not as was the Johnny Storm.
Johnny Storm, yeah.
I kind of had some complex feelings about that. And I mean, they were still siblings, so they were adopted and all that other stuff. But I was like, I mean, it didn't really, kind of like you were saying earlier, like it didn't really, it had nothing to do with the weight of the story. Like it didn't.
Right. However, here's my thing. If you say that characters can never be anything but the white males that they were, then you're giving in to racism. Because when these stories, you know, when they invented Superman in 1930, blah, 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 and the Fantastic Four and all of this, the idea of black superheroes or female superheroes didn't really exist.
Exactly.
So then if you say that, then you can never move beyond what those characters originally were. So while my first reaction was like, really though? It has more to do with I just don't see him as like a powerful. I mean, he was great in Black Panther. I'm not taking away anything from that, but you know, if we're going to get a black guy to play that, I feel like maybe there's other black people that they could have found, you know, some big muscular behemoth to play. And he also seems too young to me to be Superman.
I kind of see. I feel like
because Henry Cavill is only like maybe 31 or 32, but he has that look.
So for me, I still feel like if you put Michael B. Jordan or any person of this person of color in this role as Superman, I feel like you're perpetuating that belief that about POCs or specifically black people, that they are not from this place, they don't belong here, they're from someplace else, and they kind of, you know, and so then he would be the one black person that comes to the planet, and like I kind of not one black person that comes to the planet.
That there are black Kryptonians.
Yes, I'm not.
So the fact that a black Kryptonian, I mean, the whole series Krypton, that I watched was actually a good series. Some people didn't like it, but I loved it. The Zods, as in General Zod,
right,
is a black family.
So I'm not even.
But there's also other problems with that, because then they establish this paradigm that the black people are evil.
And so that's where I'm like, I feel like it's a no-win situation. Like there's an argument.
Right.
I don't know.
So I mean, I get all sides of that, but I don't think he.
I think as
is
an
the
actor,
right black person to play it, because I just feel like he's.
So I think as an actor, I think no one
like 5'2". I don't know.
I think as an actor, I think you should not be limited. A role shouldn't be limited, because again, you have Jason Momoa who's playing Aquaman. So like, he's spot on. He just looks like a modern day Aquaman to me, regardless of what he is.
Like, I could actually see Jason Momoa playing Superman.
I could even see that as well.
I just don't see
I don't know.
that big, powerful, wide
I
shoulder
don't know.
physique. And not that he wasn't good as in Jakarta in Black Panther. I'm just not seeing Superman. I'm not feeling it.
I don't know.
All right. We have 6 minutes to talk about Les Moonves.
Here's my.
So give him the backstory.
Les Moonves was the president or co-president of CBS, who was the parent company for Viacom, which owned MTV, VH1, BET eventually as well. And so after the Super Bowl incident, where the notorious wardrobe malfunction happened with Janet Jackson, both Justin and Janet were under fire. Justin, they both pulled their invitations to the Grammys, I think it was, that particular year, which was shown on CBS that year. And they said in order for them to show up, they would need to do an apology. And as we all know, Justin apologized. And
he did not apologize. He went and groveled.
Well,
crying like nasty.
Well, I was getting ready to say, I was getting ready to say he apologized, but then he more like begged on TV for like forgiveness
and met with Les Moonves personally and begged.
Right. And the problem is with that, Janet did not do as much to show her sorrow for the incident. And because of that, because she didn't grovel at his feet like Justin or some other people that may have had this incident, because I feel like this is not the first time that this has happened.
To that level, yeah, but still.
In the sense that someone needs to apologize before they can do anything else with this network. Sure. He felt like, listen, if you don't want to apologize, you don't want to grovel at my feet because of this is what happened, because you've embarrassed me, then guess what? I'm going to torpedo your career. So he personally sent out literature banning her videos from being shown on VH1, MTV, BET. Nothing. He put everything. He put the Shabbat on all that and shut it down, and it just wasn't happening. What I think what he underestimated was the fact that she came from a family that grew up in media and knew how to maneuver within this particular arena. Had a parent that he was an ass, but he got shit done for his kids, and so at the end of the day, she went about it 3 different ways because she's a triple threat, in the sense that she does sing, she does dance, and she does act. Yes. And so what she did was she just kind of put her experiences together and kind of decided, what is it that I'm going to do now? She decided to write a book. So in 2004, she went to Simon & Schuster and got a book deal with them for A True You, this book that she wrote. Simon & Schuster.
Hi, my name is Janet
Simon & Schuster is under.
And this is my autobiography.
Is under one of the offshoots of CBS.
Whispering to Greatness.
And what happened was he didn't even know that she had a book deal. And when he found she had a book deal, he hit the roof again. So once again, he went back into his Janet control mode and trying to shut down everything. Well, there was an email, I think, that came out. There was an email that came out that supported all of these things that Les Moonves has done to her, as well as there was a couple other people they mentioned.
I can't remember all of them.
There was a couple other people they mentioned, but again, Janet was one of his biggest acts that he wanted to torpedo.
And people were not willing to help her.
No one was willing to stand up and talk against him.
He was known for flying off the handle and everything, and people were like, I just don't need to. For my own career's sake, I can't get on this guy's bad side.
He wouldn't let shit go at all.
At all. Because most other people would be like, maybe,
everybody sat there was quiet.
Right.
So nobody spoke up and said anything.
And, Kathy, how this sort of ties into Kathy Griffin is that not only did he try to, sort of ruin her or get her off, but Les Moonves' wife is Julie Chen, the host of Big Brother, and is also on that show, the Low Budget View.
Oh yeah. That's the talk. Yeah. And
Kathy showed a clip from about a year and a half ago of Julie Chen just ripping into not ripping into Janet Jackson, but talking negatively about Janet Jackson on their show, The Talk. And you're like, and Kathy's like, you knew it was all bullshit. You knew this was a personal vendetta by your husband. And at first, Kathy was pissed because at first she was defending Julie. It was like, listen, that's her husband. You know, she's staying out of it. But then after seeing all of that and putting two and two together, she basically, you know, and Kathy pulls on a punch. She was like, fuck you, bitch.
Yeah, basically.
That was literally what she said.
And let me tell you something. I love Kathy for that. I absolutely love Kathy for her.
Zero fucks.
Yeah, she absolutely zero fucks. And I love her for that. So thank you, Kathy, for a wonderful show. Thank you for giving me some laughter in a very rough week and a very rough time. So I appreciate you. But my heart goes out to you because I know you've had some very tender moments with us, or you share them on stage, and so I hope that everything gets better for you. And hopefully after November 4th, like you said, you will have some other bookings. Yes. So
or something. You know,
yeah.
Last thing I'll mention on Kathy Griffin is, like, you know, she talked about how, you know, like similar to Monique, but, you know, for different reasons. You know, she doesn't have. She would love to have like a stand-up special or two on Netflix, but then fucking Norm Macdonald, who gets on air and says he's glad the Me Too movement has slowed down because, you know, we went from, you know, basically he started blaming the victim and he had to walk that shit back. But what he said was so egregious that even Jimmy Fallon's old, you know, listen, I used to love Jimmy Fallon, but as he's become more The Tonight Show, it's become more corporate and less funny to me. But anyway, they, at the last minute, like the day he was supposed to appear on The Tonight Show, they announced that he wasn't. They just canceled his performance. So that tells you how bad what he said was.
Listen, and I like Jimmy too, but I went to see one of his shows. I was a little annoyed with that. I went to see a taping, one last thing I want to throw out there also that I didn't mention about earlier for Serena, because I know we have to close this down. There are some umpires that are actually trying to boycott Serena Williams.
Right.
According to the Daily Caller, tennis umpires are reportedly discussing a boycott of Serena Williams matches after the female tennis player accused the chair umpire of sexism. Now, listen, they are saying that there is a widespread feeling that Carlos, the umpire at the particular game, was hung out to dry for nearly 48 hours and that no one is standing up for officials. One senior umpire said, speaking anonymously because umpire contracts prevent them from talking about specific matches. But again, this ban against Serena, like, really? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, now you're trying to go the Les Moonves route. You're trying to go the you're trying to go the torpedo, the take her career down. For what? Why?
They're trying to frame it as a larger issue, and, you know, they want to unionize because, like you said, they can't talk about the matches because of their contract, but the tennis star is free to. So it will be different if they were saying, we're not going to do any until, you know, the rules are changed. But to single out Serena is just bad.
Singled her out. But anyway,
any snooch.
Talked about that earlier, Donnie. Rewind and check it out. So,
yes.
But
The BGK8 show streams live on Wednesdays on www.voxwave.com from 9:15 to 10:15 p.m. Eastern and 6:15 to 7:15 p.m. Pacific. Episodes are available on YouTube every Friday. Just search for Vox Power 373 and look for the BGK8 show with Dominion and Epic. Coming in the fall of 2018, we will have a live studio audience.
Yay!
Tickets will be $100 per piece.
You can make those payable to Epic.
Yeah, my Cash App is
$$
Dom Onyx.
$ Chet MAH.
There we go. $ Chet MAH. How can the viewers get in contact with you?
So you can get in touch with me on Facebook under Epic Onyx. You can also reach me on Instagram at I am Epic Onyx, and you can reach me on Twitter as Epic Onyx1. And how can I reach you, Dominion?
You can reach me on at Dom Onyx on Twitter and Instagram. Facebook.com is Dom Onyx, and my website, www.domonyx.com. Oh, and I forgot to mention, my article debuted on Recon on Friday And between Friday and today, I've gotten 300 or 400 messages and actually more cruises. I got like 500 cruises. Most of them,
You're gonna be busy.
no, I'm not.
Oh.
Because 95% of them are like, no, too far, not my type. Too far, not my
Not
type.
flying to Africa.
Or said something, if not racist, at least racially insensitive. Because if I like you because of a number of things, and none of those things are because you're white.
Right.
I like you because of your body type, or because of the pictures that you do, or we have some common interests, and you happen to be white.
Right.
So I'm not interested in that. And I'm certainly not interested in anybody that was like, I can't wait to worship a superior black master or big black hawk or anything like that.
Go
And,
sit down.
I'm like, bye.
Go sit down.
That just makes it easier. That just was able to whittle out.
Go sit down.
So, but I have some a longer observation about that, so I'll be writing about that too, because I actually had to cuss one girl out.
Anyway.
I mean, you girls from London are full of yourselves sometimes. Anyway, so thank you all for listening. We really enjoyed it, and
Yes, indeedy.
I'm not sure, since you're going to be out of town next week, I think I might just take the week off.
It's up to you. If you want, we'll talk about that afterwards.
Yes.
But yeah.
So we'll either see you next week or the week after.
Yeah. So
Until then,
thank you all for coming.
Mwah.
Bye.